Hello, everybody. Full house this morning. Well, okay, about as full as we can get. Actually, we've got room for plenty more. But hello, it's Tuesday morning today on TLDChat, and I'm your host, Brent Schlenker. And today we're going to be talking with Shannon Tipton, who will be on. She's on with us right now, but we will be talking a little bit more. But what I'm secretly doing is stalling until we figure out what it is we're going to talk about. So, as an audience of TLDC, put your thinking caps on and figure out what you want to hear today and what you want us to ramble on about. I do have a couple ideas that I think will be fun, but let's start with some ideas from you guys. And while you're thinking, I am going to run through a couple things as I usually do. Do I see any new faces in here today? Hi, Krista. I don't know if you've hung out with us before. Maybe I've just seen your avatar on Twitter or someplace else, but welcome. And Marco, good to see you as always. Paul's here, Joe, Shannon, of course, and Tom and Michael. Good. It is your first time. Well, welcome, Krista. Everybody, make Krista feel welcome, please, while I ramble on about TLDC. So if you don't know what TLDC is, we are the Training, Learning, and Development collection of C's. We started off as the Training, Learning, and Development Conference, and now we are also Training, Learning, and Development Chat, and we also are the Training, Learning, and Development Community, and we are having other elements of what we do added to that list soon as we grow and offer just more benefits and more things for us all to do together and learn about the training, learning, and development community. Because I just had this conversation yesterday with somebody that our industry, I mean, those of us who have been in it a long time have seen the industry go through waves, and it's always been a bit, tumultuous, I guess, and complicated in certain ways within the business and whatnot. And sometimes the job gets more difficult than others, but it seems like we're at a real turning point right now and have been for a couple years. That's really, really significant. And so I think we're here to help get everybody through that and to help understand where it is we're going next. Where are we right now? What's the type of value we can add to the business? And like the website says, just how do we get the work done? How do we get the work of training done? There's a lot of philosophy, a lot of methods, a lot of rambling on about dreaming about things and conversations like that we could have, all the ethereal stuff. There are plenty of places you can go to have those conversations. And what we like to do here at All Things TLDC is to try to get as practical as we possibly can and get into the nuts and bolts of your career, your projects, your teams, your organization. How do you add value, and how do you give back to the industry, and how do you utilize the industry and collectives like this for your benefit? So join our newsletter. It lets us know that you appreciate what we're doing, and the more people we have appreciating what we do, the more likely it is that we can continue to do it. So spread the word, tell your training, learning, and development friends that we are here, we are back. This used to be called L&D Talk last year, and we have simply rebranded it. It's the same old conversation and the same great, wonderful people in the same great, wonderful industry, but we're just trying to formalize it up a little bit. But let me do a quick shout out. One particular company I've been neglecting that's been supporting us very, very, very well, Mr. Pierce, Matt Pierce from TechSmith, has been a big supporter of what we do for a long time now, and even since the L&D Talk days. And so we just want to give a big sponsorship shout out. I don't know if they're officially a sponsor. You know what? They give us free copies of Camtasia to give away on Fridays. And so far we've given away 3 copies, and we really, really appreciate that because I know a lot of folks are on a budget and can't afford to buy this cool stuff on their own. And it's always great to get a free copy of something. And it's always great to be a winner. And we love their software, as I know a lot of you do too, as I can see in the chat. So anyways, just a big shout out to them. They're doing some great stuff. Their products are fantastic. Go check them out. Matt hangs out with us on Fridays, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff. But speaking of Fridays, this particular Friday, hi Shannon, sorry I got you on. If you don't want to, I can minimize your screen.
No, that's okay.
Okay,
that's all right.
I was a little premature in miniaturizing the screen, but I just got one thing left to say, and then we're going to jump in and chat.
Minimalization.
Yeah. So this Friday, so those of you that, if you missed what we did last Friday with Brian Fanzo, he rolled in a little bit late, so we had to go really, really long in the conversation because it got good. I didn't want to stop it, and since he was willing to stick around, I took advantage of it. But he also offered up doing another show this week with us that I'm really, really excited about. So he's going to come back on Friday, and he and I are going to host the ultimate smackdown cage match, grudge match of training between training as a content marketing piece and all of the digital marketers that are doing training, and the L&D side of the house, the learning and development world. So if you have not seen this trend of training courses being utilized as content marketing, I think it would be extremely valuable for you to hang out and to, one, understand what it is, and two, to help the two separate, which is odd to me. It seems like we should all be on the same team, but it seems like two very different camps that have sprung up, which of course this is how the market works, right? But it's a conversation that's we've been needing to have for a really, really long time. At least I think. I know not everybody in the industry probably thinks so, but I think, and I call it a smackdown cage match, and not that we're gonna do battle, not that I think there's anything wrong with one side or the other, but I just think there is a lot to learn, and I think there are a lot of misconceptions, and I think that just having that conversation, having some digital marketing folks, some folks that have with zero instructional design background, zero idea of what training should look like, and they are out creating courses, and they can be judged on whether you think they're bad or good, or whether you like the way lynda.com does her videos, and whether you think that's training or not training, or all those questions, all those types of things we want to cover. And we want the marketing people to learn from the L&D people, and we want the L&D people to learn from the marketing people, and maybe there's some great fun middle ground we can all reach and kind of figure this stuff out. So I'm super psyched about that conversation, and hope you will share it with your friends. And quite honestly, any of the curmudgeons out there in the L&D world that want to come and swear on a stack of Bibles that their instructional design process is better than what digital marketers can do, I want you here. I want you here Friday. I would almost go to lengths to pay you to be here, to tell us give us what your reality is, because I want to hear their response to you. And actually, I have no money to pay you. This is totally just tongue in cheek, but this is how much fun it will be if you can find those people, or if you are one of those people. Anthony Altieri, XAPI, where are you? You can jump on in and join us for sure. So block your calendar for Friday. Totally psyched about that. And also, I almost forgot, Thursday, last minute booking. I got Brandon Carson to jump in on Thursday from CLO from Home Depot, and he's going to chat with us about the training work that he does there and his new book that's coming out. So that will be fun, a fun conversation as well. So anyways, 8:12, perfect timing for me. Hello, Shannon Tipton. How are you again?
Hi, Brent, I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, but darn it, your video is going a little bit low pro on us again.
Low pro?
Just a low bandwidth and kind of audio gurgliness again.
Audio gurgliness. I am hooked up to as much power as I can get on this thing. I'm hooked up I'm even hooked up today through my data plan, so I got nothing else.
All right. So you know what happens is we do tend to, we get you for a few minutes, and I think I wasted the first front end of your bandwidth by having you on with me just rambling. Let me, oh yeah. So let's do this. Maybe let's widen your bandwidth and go with just audio and see if, can you just, I'll mute your video and you may need to do it on your end. I'll let you do it on your end. Just click the mute video.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you know what I'll do is let's try this because it kind of sometimes it has to rebuffer and reset. So I'm going to click the X button and re-invite you. Okay, you should be back.
I am.
Oh, yep, and I can hear you, but it's still gurgly. Maybe it'll go away. Let's give it some time to buffer, maybe, and give it a chance to. Oh,
What do you want my live face or not live face?
well, I was thinking that maybe if we went without the video and just audio, that it would free up the bandwidth and it would be clearer. Because I think people would rather. People need to hear you, and with the gurgly audio, it's going to be difficult. Oh yeah, of course. We always want to see your bright, lovely, shining face, without question. But if we can't hear what you're saying, then it loses some context for us. So. Let me see here. Try talking again for me.
So today's topic.
Today's topic is gurgly audio.
Gurgly audio.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's still gurgly. I can kind of hear what you're saying. So we'll work on it and see what we can do. While we're chatting here a little bit. So one of the conversations that you and I had, we were watching, we were talking about, oh, I remember what it was. It was micro-learning. That's what we were talking about.
Yes, it was micro-learning.
Yes, and so we were going to give, it's really hard to actually talk about it in 140 characters or less. So let's have a real live conversation and talk about micro learning. And let's talk about it from starting. Yes, we love micro learning, but do we love the term? Let's just throw that question out there first. Do we like that there's another term in learning, or do not like that there is a term called, yeah, Joe, I don't want to lose anybody in this conversation, so let me set the stage for you real quick. I know that there are a lot of you who are on both sides of this camp, right? We like micro-learning, we don't like micro-learning. We understand that a lot of content is shorter and smaller, but we don't want to call it micro-learning. It's just well-designed learning. It's just what people need when they need it. It's a marketing ploy. Yes, exactly, it is. And maybe there needs to be a better term for it, but this is the conversation that I think is important for us to have. It's not, I don't think it's as black and white as a lot of people think it is. And so I think maybe just finding some common ground amongst our collective here can help the industry move forward a little bit, and we can kind of figure out once and for all kind of why these things happen to us. Why do we get these words? And how can we just accept that it's part of our industry and we move on? What do you think, Shannon?
I agree. I think that this teeth gnashing about terms really gets in our way of what we're trying to do as part of the end product. So regardless of whether or not we call it, and I laughed when I saw Joe's comment about nano learning, because I actually used that term. I was like, now anything less than 3 minutes, we might as well just call it nano, So it's so it's funny that he brought that up. But to me, it's less about the term and more about the application. So let's match the term with the application and not get so bent out of shape about what we're calling stuff. Because in this particular case, it is what it is. And as we were talking about last week, I think it was, I have found research on microlearning where people were calling it microlearning 10, 12 years ago. So you know what? The term is out there, and yes, maybe marketing has absconded with it and turned it into, the buzzword of the day. But microlearning was called microlearning a dozen years ago. So let's not try to fight that battle. Let's try to get good, right-sized learning out there.
Yes. Oh, I like that. I like right-sized learning. That's a good term. Somebody put that in the show notes. That's good stuff. Exactly. And so I like to kind of look at, I think those of you that have known me or that have seen me present, I haven't done much presenting over the last few years, but back in the day, I used to talk a lot about this. We called it Learning 2.0 and all that stuff. But as new tools come out, I always have taken the approach of, instead of giving these things a name, let's just look at the features that these new tools, that new social media tools or whatever, type of technologies that we have, what do they afford us, and how can they be utilized to deliver content that can be used for learning? Because I truly believe that all content can be a learning content for somebody that needs it. And I think one of my favorite nano learning examples, if we're going to have to give it a word, is what was it, Vine, or was it
Vine? Right, Vine.
Well, which one was Vine? Which one was like 6 seconds? Like, I don't know why they randomly chose 6 seconds, but yeah, Vine. 6 seconds. And I can remember the first thing that I learned on there was Oreo did this fantastic little Vine where you learned how to make a cool little Oreo treat. And I thought, that's learning. I totally learned something right there. You can either eat the Oreos right out of the package, or you can make a cool little frozen treat. And I learned how to do it in 6 seconds.
Right. It's just like the tasty videos that are all over Facebook, that are created by BuzzFeed. It's the same concept. And what I saw in the comments here was with Kara, and she says that the bad thing about microlearning is that there's a gray area and multiple definitions. Well, there are, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go on a bit of a soapbox, unshockingly to the people who know me. Is I was just at a conference to remain unnamed, but I was at a conference, and I was doing a pre-conference on how to actually create small learning objects. So I went around the conference and I participated, and I went to these different micro learning sessions, if you will, and every single one of them were talking about theory. None of them had a clear definition. All of the people wanted some direction. And so we have this.
Well, that's why we're here, right?
Right. We have this eye of the storm that's happening. And when it got to well, actually it wasn't a pre-conference, it was more of a hands-on clinic. And when it came to my hands-on clinic, which lasted 4 hours, I asked the people what it was that they wanted to know. And they said, well, you just tell us what we're supposed to do with this. It's like, yes, I can do that, because nobody's really talking about that.
Yeah.
And I think now is the opportunity to really clarify a few things, where we do have, from a formal pedagogy place, you have your macro, your micro learning, and you have your subtext that goes with that. So now it is a matter of really giving some clear parameters, because I refuse to give a definition. People call me crazy. I am not going to give you a definition, but I will give you parameters to say, if your content does not work within these parameters, it probably does not qualify as a micro-learning content element. But hey, if it works within your organization, it works within your organization. So that's that.
Yes, and so let's talk about the marketing aspect of it, right? I mean, let's just, I think we all need to just agree that, we're in a marketplace. We are part of a marketplace, the learning and development marketplace, training marketplace, whatever you want to name that. And we need words, and those that are in the business of helping us get the work of what we do, help us get the work done. They sell us stuff, and they need to brand what it is that they do and get out there. And when the current term du jour is micro learning, and people are beginning to understand it, it's important that the vendors use it. And if you follow that philosophy or that term in your product, you use it to get people to understand what it is you do. Right or wrong, however you accept it, that has some value in it. And I think it's important for us to be okay with that, and to not be so hard on our vendor community. And I currently don't work for any vendors anymore, and so I can say that. So, don't anybody get the wrong idea that that I'm not neutral. I am currently as neutral as they come. So but since I've been in both worlds, I've been on both camps, I've been on both sides. It gets to be a little bit distressing to hear people, one side bashing it, one side supporting it, and us having a struggle. And so I think it's good that we have these conversations, and that there is sometimes questioning of certain things, but I don't think it needs to be taken to the level of any sort of religious battles.
Right, I agree. And so now, Kara, I think that you asked another good question when you talk about the different parameters. And so you list 3 there, which you're talking about the learning objective, fitting the learner's needs, and it can be consumed on the go without being judgmental to the learning environment. And all of those are accurate. With number 1, when we talk about having a learning objective, now that goes for any learning. So what I'm trying to stay away from with the parameters of micro-learning are boxes where all learning can be shoved into. So every learning object in of itself needs to have, or any course, program, module, etc., they all need to have some sort of learning objective, learning goal, and then it needs to align to whatever business need there is. So with micro-learning, as with any learning, you need to have a strategy. What the hell are you using it for, right? Are you just pushing out videos for the sake of pushing out videos? Well, that doesn't do anyone a service. So it's about better alignment with what we're trying to do with the micro video in of itself.
And let's also think about the bright side of this, right? I mean, I know that I've always been a big fan of video, but short videos, long videos, whatever, the right length video, like a well-designed video. I've always been a huge fan of video as an educational medium. And For the longest time, it was really, really, really hard for people to understand. That's going right, yeah. To even allow me to do it. But once this micro learning thing came up, all of a sudden that opened up a lot of doors for me. So if you look at the bright side of this, all of a sudden people are like, oh, this micro learning thing, it's video, and let's go ahead and do it. So, whether you like it or not, if you look at the bright side, if it's a way to get people, your clients or your leadership, to finally understand what you've been telling them for so long, I say run with it. I say go with it. Whether you like the term or not, at least you get to do what is going to be effective,
Right, but I think that there's an important distinction here. That first, it doesn't need to be video.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just throwing video out there, but you're absolutely right. As you were talking before, I was thinking, when you add a comment, for example, on either your internal social network or whatever, and if it only takes 30 seconds or less, like 5 seconds for somebody to glance at and read your comment, if they learn something from it, is that micro learning?
Well, if they're learning from something within it, 5 seconds of reading a comment and learning something from it, then yeah, it becomes in of itself a micro learning object, because there are micro courses, there are micro objects. And what falls into the micro object column, if you will, are things like micro videos, micro audio, so you think about little podcasts, you think about job aids, so job aids on, FAQ sheets, things that people are going to use in order to help them do the job at this moment. So the biggest parameter around micro learning is that it should be a performance support tool that hangs out on its own. So it's hard to do it without actually drawing it, I suppose, on a piece of paper. But micro learning helps move. It can't stand on its own. So, for example, you've got some wall signs, some wall charts, if you will, at Subway that show them how to build, their Italian sandwich. Okay, so you've got some sort of job aid performance tool, micro learning in of itself. Now, when you combine all of those job aids on how to build all of the different sandwiches, those are part of a greater macro course. Perhaps that's part of new hire orientation. But so you can combine all of those pieces together to build a larger macro course, or they are standalone objects that become micro learning objects in of themselves. So it's just saying that, or rather it's just understanding that just because it's short doesn't mean we're learning anything from it. And you could do your short videos. Here's an example of what micro learning is not. Micro learning is not taking your CEO's welcome to the organization, here is the history of our business video, and chopping it up into 3-minute pieces. That's not micro video, people, or micro learning. That's just a short little video that people are going to be bored with in 3-minute bites.
You're right. After the first 3-minute one, they may not even watch the second 3-minute one. Yeah. If it's a good story, people are going to be annoyed that they have to keep restarting it every 3 minutes, right? They want to just listen to the video. Not to derail us too much on this, but I just wanted to point out too, I wrote a blog post about this a while back, and just because one day it just all of a sudden struck me, that video in general, it affords us so much power and so much functionality that I think we ignore, even back before it was digital, right? And where does that power lie? It lies in the rewind button, right? That video in and of itself I mean, even film didn't really give us this because you can't really rewind a film projector, but being able to hit that rewind button, like when you hear something really important and you know that, oh my gosh, I want to hear that again. You hit rewind and you watch it again, and you hit rewind and you watch it again, whether it's a funny bit on a movie or whether it's something you really want to learn or you really want to stick or it's really intriguing for you. I mean, that is, when you think about it, I mean, and maybe I'm just taking this to the extremes, but, that's an incredibly powerful learning feature, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I completely agree. So
but nobody ever got it talking about that or writing a dissertation on it being such a fantastic learning element.
Well, not yet, but you just never know. You never know. But I think it also goes to the argument of another micro-learning parameter that I've set is that, and I find that most people agree with, is that, especially to your point there, Brent, when we talked about the rewind button, and that's why it's important that your micro-learning video, if we're going to talk video, is one idea, one objective, one concept, no exceptions. That's regardless of if it's a course, a micro course, a micro video, a podcast, a job aid, a worksheet. One idea at a time. And that's it. So if you find that you've got a course where you're thinking, oh, okay, I can talk about this and talk about that and talk about this, but I'm going to cram it into 6 minutes. No, you're still not talking micro there. You're just talking short course. And that's an important delineation.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we're at that 8:30 mark now. I was I just barely caught it. And want to use this as an opportunity for us to just stop, take a breather in our conversation, and talk a little bit about what it is that we do here, give you guys a chance to chat, and also give everybody in the chat window an opportunity to jump in as well and ask you some questions, Shannon, sure. And maybe even give some comments that may be too long to type into the chat window. So what I'd like to do is invite everybody to video. Again, as always, you can decline this invitation and do not feel obligated at all to accept it and jump in. And just feel free to jump in, make your comment, and then I will... and then we'll give Shannon and myself a chance to answer it, and I'll close that out. Or if you have a follow-up question, I'll leave you in as well. But it looks like we got some great conversation going on and some great thinking, and it looks longer than what they can type into the chat, Shannon. So I'm going to invite some folks in it, if that's okay. And
the more the merrier.
Yeah, we'll have a group conversation. So we can only have up to 4. So for people that know, so I think what I'm going to do is just have one person in at a time. Is there anybody in the chat that is just got a burning desire to say something, like they can hardly stand it anymore? You just have to jump in and make your voice heard. I know Joe needs to come in. Joe, I'm gonna invite you anyways, and you can jump in and tell us what you think. Because I know Joe has Paul.
Actually, I'm with Paul. I had too much coffee before I hopped on the line.
No. Well, I think Joe's a good talker. He can cover for you. Quick run.
Yeah, that's okay.
The 8:30 spot is the perfect potty break, so go for it.
It's keeping me solidly focused.
Oh, okay. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi, Joe.
Hello, Shannon. I wrote, I did not have anything to say, but you went ahead and invited me anyway. I should have known better to say, nope, that's okay. I'm here. I can always BS anything, so. Yeah,
of course you can. Well, come on. I know you have thoughts about this, Joe. So, what has anything struck you lately about either the term or the function of what it is that we're talking about?
Well, it's something I hinted at earlier in the comments there. But it strikes me that every 2-3 years, perhaps we get this new buzzword, and it's usually based on something, good. It's something that it should be strongly considered. But then everybody seems to think that, oh, it's something that we need to apply to everything we're doing now. And people come back from, say, a conference session that they've attended, and next thing you know, they're like trying to change out everything they're doing. Well, the truth is, e-learning and learning in general, of course, has always been really a custom affair. You always got to be looking at the same things: who your audience is, the content, the context, etc. Yes, right. Micro learning might be perfect for some situations, but terrible for others. And so it's always a question of, is it? Of course, it should be considered, but should it be applied? Sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like plastered on to everything? No, it's one of those things that I like very much, but only in certain types of situations. And you mentioned earlier, Brent, about what did you say you used to call it? I forget now, but I was thinking at the time that you said it, that we used to sort of call it just in time or performance support. A lot of those were short and sweet. They were basically follow-ons to e-learning, where you had more of the foundational stuff. I'm going to say one more thing because it just struck me that, and this is something I found very interesting. I did some work for, let's just say, a major computer company, and not because let's just say, where they asked me to come down and do some training there and help them get started with some templates and such that they wanted to build. And they said that that they've been doing a lot of CBT, computer-based training, and now they want to do.
Wow, they still use that term?
Well, this was almost 10 years ago. Okay. But e-learning had already been around as a term as well. So this was the interesting thing they said. They said, we've been doing a lot of CBT, computer-based training, and now we'd like to start doing some e-learning. And I said, okay, aren't those synonymous? And they said, well, no, not the way we use it. And so then I found it very interesting because what they distinguished the two terms in their minds and in their parlance, let's say. So what they were doing was they have these new products that come out just about every day. And when a product comes out, of course, your customer support people need to be up on that product. So when people call in about it, they can answer questions. Your salespeople need to know about it as well. And of course, well, let's just start with those. Okay, so those are two things. So clearly, you can't have a huge e-learning course built for every time there's a new product coming out, because there's a new one almost every day. And most of the time, it's just understanding the basics of it. So they had a really cool system set up whereby they had, I believe, 4 different parts to this. They would put the product on a table if it could fit on a table, and they do a 360 view of it. So they would in essence be taking pictures from every angle, and that way and that would be instantly turned into a 3D animation that people could control. So they could see all the ports on it and everything else. But this was just for the customer support people and the salespeople, so that they could look at it very quickly online. Secondly, they had one that had just the data sheet, the fact sheet about it. The third thing was frequently asked questions, and the fourth thing was something else. I forget now. But anyway, the point was it was very compartmentalized and very specific, and always with a new product they had this thing, and that's what they call CBT. But what they meant by e-learning was more the foundational stuff that sometimes is, well, you just may not know about. So for instance, they gave me the example, we may have a new Blade server, and so we're going to have the CBT on that, but maybe people don't know what a Blade server really is. And so that's where the foundational e-learning is going to come. We're going to explain what is a Blade server, how does it work, etc., for those who really need to know that stuff too. So anyway, interesting approach, and I never forgot that because it just struck me as something that was very particular to them, but also something that made a lot of sense to me. And so micro-learning obviously was more on the CBT side, and the non-micro, if you will, were on the e-learning side for them.
Yeah, I think those of us that have been doing this for a while have seen so many of those buzzwords and different terms come and go in the work that we do. And I think, I mean, I've just kind of gotten to the point where I'm a little bit immune to the terms, and I've just become, and I know Shannon does this too, right? You quickly adjust your verbiage to the client you're talking to, right? Or the customer you're talking to, or whatever, whoever you're needing to communicate your solution with, or what you can do for them. It's best to first figure out how they view the industry, right? And what do they call their products, and what terminology do they use? It's a heck of a lot easier for us to just quickly modify how we speak than it is for us to try to re-educate the customer, because you don't want to go in thinking you're a know-it-all and trying to force people to think differently. You want to help them. So that's kind of where I'm at these days with this stuff. Shannon, what are you thinking?
Oh, I agree with that. I'm not going to try to correct my customers' thinking. I do try to gently redirect. So hopefully by the time I'm through with them, they're thinking the way I need them or would like them to think. But I certainly don't go in and just say, oh no, what you're doing is not CBT, it's micro, or it's E, or it's whatever. So, and I think I do the same thing with our friends in the L&D industry as well. I got into a pretty robust debate / argument, almost, if you will, a while back about the importance of nomenclature. And I see zero importance in nomenclature. I don't care what we call it, as long as we're doing it right.
Yeah.
And as long as we're not hurting anybody in the process. Yeah. I think that it's important. I think it's important that we have good definitions. So whether or not you're calling it right-sized learning or bite-sized learning or micro learning, I'm not going to get all hairy over it. But as long as we understand that here's what we're trying to define this as, and here's what we're trying to use it for, then we're okay.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I just had this memory come rushing back into my brain as you were talking, and because Joe had mentioned an unnamed large computer company, I think is what you said. Anyways, I'm just going to go out and say it. I did 10 years at Intel, and in my last few years there, I very distinctly remember being in a project meeting, and we were hashing around about what we should call it. What do we call this new thing that we're going to be trying to do? And it should have a name, and it was going on and on. And I remember getting so frustrated. I just stood up and I was like, listen, does it really matter what we call it? I don't care. Let's just call it Bob. And it stuck. And so from that point on, the project was named Bob. And I think it even ended up in some presentations and some slide decks as Bob. That's what we were doing.
It's the Bob training.
Yeah, it was very funny. And it later, I think, just turned into an inside joke. But I'm trying to remember her name now. I'm so bad with names. Allison. I think she was still there. It was funny. She and I ran into each other at an event recently, and we talked briefly about Bob. But yeah, those were good times. Anyways, yeah, squirrel. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of great conversations in the chat and a lot of different things. Hey, Joe, thank you so much for jumping in. I'm going to let you scoot, so I'm going to close your window. Okay, bud? Or did you already leave?
I feel so now. We love you, Joe. I do.
Hope he doesn't feel bad.
I don't know about anybody else, but I could listen to Joe's voice all day.
Yeah, he's good. We got to have him in there more often. But so let's see, who else wants to jump in? Paul, are you in front of a camera? Do you want to jump in and give us some micro learning examples from your life? And you can totally reject this if you want. And how about some of our new folks? Cara, I don't think you're new. I think we've seen you in here before hanging out with us, or maybe not. I know Krista's new. You guys don't have to feel obligated to jump in, but if you'd like to jump in and share via video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the invite on screen, and but please feel free to just click no if you don't have your camera set up or if you don't want to get on or whatever. But always love to meet new people, so I'm going to shoot out an invite here. Please feel free to just go ahead and decline. It's not as easy as the blab days. So
yeah. So while we're working on that, let's talk about something else that I feel is an important element to microlearning, and that is success, and that's accessibility. So
I mean, yeah, great point. So 508 compliance, right?
Well, that and just general accessibility. So, for example, if your wonderful microlearning course is buried 10 clicks into your learning management system, then you might as well forget about it. So the key here to any good microlearning content, be it object or course, is the ability for people to lay their hands on it. You know, so it has to be accessible. It has to be easily found, you know. And what I have recommended to clients is that it either goes on a desktop, it is planted on the very first home screen of SharePoint or their LMS, or even more better, and that's not poor grammar on my part, but even better is turn it into a mobile app, you know, so that they can access the information when they need to have it. And I think that is one of the most crucial parts of any microlearning content piece.
Yeah, and you know what? That also reminds me that I really do think that it's the technology and that accessibility and that need for content in general to be short and small in order for it to be accessible, right? Has kind of forced this micro learning trend, you know, with mobile devices and relatively low bandwidth worldwide. It was just a necessity, right? Like if you wanted to push content to a mobile device, a best practice was keep your damn files short, keep your content small, and so that it can, you know, stream through the pipes and get there quickly. And so I think a little bit of this comes out of, okay, it's good design to just put in the content that needs to be there, therefore making it smaller, but it's the technology that kind of forced our hand that said, hey, if you want to push to XYZ device, or if you want your content to be delivered over the internet, you know, and to a wide audience, you better keep it small, because if people have to wait for it to load, they're not going to consume it.
Right, and I use this phrase all the time, blatantly stolen from Zig Ziglar, you know, who said you can have the best product in the world, but if you can't sell it, you've still got it. The same thing is for us in the industry. We can have the best micro-learning video or job aid or course ever produced, but if your people cannot access it, if they cannot find it, then it's digital dust.
Yeah.
And we don't need any more digital dust bunnies. We just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely agree. I mean, it is. So,
and that's the hard part. That's the hard part. When I was talking to an audience recently about this, and they were like, "Well, I've got to put it into my LMS," and I'm like, "Well, okay." So that doesn't mean you have to bury it within your LMS, does it? You know, most LMSs nowadays are pretty customizable, so you can, if you have to, put it through your LMS and put it in a place where it is accessible. And if your LMS is not single sign-on, then forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I have recently been a little bit more re-energized about our industry and about the tools that are in the process of becoming more well known and getting into this space. And I think we are all going to see a lot of disruption very soon in that space, and accessibility and understanding that all content can be utilized as great learning content for our employees. And how do we bridge that gap between all that external content that's out there that your employees are looking at? How do you give them value? How do you incorporate that into your custom internal training? All of those things that we've been talking about for years. There are finally systems on the horizon that can leverage and take advantage of this kind of stuff, and it's actually really, really exciting to see. So more on that in the coming weeks for sure. Anybody else want to jump in before we go? Actually, you know what? I don't want to go over too much today. I've been taking everybody's time. Every little bit of time I know is valuable to you, and I actually want to respect your time. So it's about 8:53, and so I want to start wrapping it up and just say thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome. I'm laughing at Katie. Katie got dressed today.
Oh no, Katie, do you want to jump in the video real quick?
That's okay.
Okay. Rats, you guys got to let me know when you make special arrangements to be on camera, and I'll get you on. So, I know how it works. I'm still looking for a pair of PJs that looks like I'm wearing a suit. That would be awesome.
I just say we have a come in your PJs day. Let's just do that.
I know I could probably get away with no pants day, but it'd be better to just if the whole getup was just comfy pajamas. I think I'd be all right with that.
That just took a dangerous turn.
Could get ugly. Yeah, Paul. Oh yeah, somebody put a link in. All right, great. Yeah, I knew somebody would come through for me. You guys are awesome. Hey, you know what? This has been fantastic. Again, thanks, Shannon. Hey, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at learningrebels.com, on Twitter at stipton, Facebook Learning Rebels. I'm going to be speaking about micro-learning at ATDICE. I'm actually hosting a pre-conference on how to build a micro-learning course in micro time, and also having a regular session. So hopefully, if you guys get to ICE, I will see you in one of these sessions. It'd be fabulous.
Yeah, fantastic. So get in there and don't talk theory, hang out with Shannon and get some work done. Learn how to do this stuff. That's awesome.
That's right.
Way to get out there and do that. All right, Shannon, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and close your window, and I'm going to close down and give a few announcements, and then we will be done for the day. Thanks again so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Jazz hands.
So, all right. So there's microlearning for today on TLDChat. Today was project day, but hey, you know what? We like to paint outside the lines. So anytime we're following a formula, we like to be the first to break the formula. So it's all good. It's what we do. Thanks, Katie. I appreciate the link. Let's get a few minutes left here, and I just want to take this time again to reiterate some things that are coming up. Maybe some of you jumped on late and didn't get a chance to hear, but always be sure to check out TLDC.us and get signed up for our newsletter. And do us a favor and share what we're doing here with your colleagues and friends, and ask them if they've had a chance to hang out with us. And if they want to, if they want to hang out, and if they don't for some reason, please ask why. I'd love to know. Is it are we doing something wrong? Let us know. We like to talk about what we do, as what we do, right? We, as in all of you that are hanging out here, whether you're new or not, you're now part of this community. And if you are doing the work of training, we want to help you. And that's always what I've been about. And it's been fun to just kind of formalize that mentality and bring it to everybody. And I know all of you that have known me for a while now, or first met me with TLDC 16, you know, enjoy this type of format as well, and just being in a group of people that enjoy sharing and learning from each other and being a part of a close-knit community. So let me know what you think, and hit us up at TLDC. I'm trying to find the right screen share this time. That's the one I was looking for. Hit us up at tldc.us, and you'll notice at the top here, I'll go full screen on this, so you can get to TLDChat from the links on this page. So you can also go to tldc.events, and that will take you directly to the Crowdcast. But if you just remember tldc.us, that's an easy one to remember. You can get to these chats every single day, 8 a.m. Pacific time, through this link here. You can find out more about the conference that will be coming up very, very, very soon. Probably not a lot of information there just yet. And we're going to be starting to add jobs and all sorts of really cool stuff for you guys to get some value from this community. So please feel free to join us again for the rest of the week. Tomorrow is just an open forum. I don't have any guests lined up for tomorrow, so join us tomorrow, and kind of an open mic, open forum. Any particular topic you want to talk about. If I get a wild hair and see some news or something that pops up, I might just go down that route. But if any of you have any particular topics you'd love to, or you've wished now for a while that we would talk about, please let me know. Katie will volunteer. Fantastic, Katie, done deal. We'll get you on. How about our topic we shared on Twitter? Oh, I don't remember which one that is, Craig. I'm sorry. I'll have to go back. But anyways, yeah, I will readdress it. Maybe we can split. But that's what the open forum is all about, right? We can hit any and all topics very, very quickly. We'll call it like a lightning round or something, right? We'll bounce around from topic to topic and have a great day. But that's tomorrow. Thursday, we'll have, again, last minute booked him. He agreed to come in on Thursday. I've been asking him for a while if he would jump in. I love Brandon Carson. He's a fantastic guy. He is the CLO for Home Depot, and he is doing some fantastic work over there. And he's got a lot of really, really great fresh ideas. And it's not often that we get somebody at that CLO level to also be as innovative and creative as somebody like Brandon, and to then also be able to get them to come hang out with us for an hour. Normally folks at that level are hard to get connected with, and are hard to get them to carve out some time to hang out for with us, a group like this. And he ideas and work with everybody at the event. So very, very excited to have him on Thursday. So if you really, really wanting to get into the brain of a CLO and figure out how that works, and hear some of the fun, great stuff that their teams are doing at Home Depot, Thursday is the day you definitely want to hang out with us and enjoy that. And then, of course, like I said earlier, Friday is normally Video Friday. It seems like we talk about video every day, so really every day could be Video Friday. But we're going to have Brian Fanzo back on this Friday, but with a very specific purpose in mind this time. We actually want to talk about this chasm between the training that gets done with training professionals and learning and development professionals, and the training that is done that is done in the marketing world, the digital marketing world. If those of you that have not been paying close attention to the social media marketing world, they have now grabbed on, and it's been growing. This particular trend has been happening for a while now. a few years, 3 to 5 years at least, where courses have now become marketing content and a way to monetize, right? And a way for content marketers to share what they know and and sell and make money. And there's there's a lot going on in that space. And when all there is on our side of the industry, right, is enterprise level, really expensive, white label products and whatnot. That small businesses and small single entrepreneurs, all they want to do is build a course as content, right? And when there's nothing out there, it all costs $5,000 a year for a SaaS model or higher. That's out of their reach. Products that have ramped up, new SaaS-based products. You could call them an LMS if you want, but they're popping up out of this marketing side of the world. And some of the CEOs that create this stuff is what L&D is, whatever. All they knew was there was this need in the marketplace for a tool. Oh, now I'm losing my audio, huh? Maybe I'm burning too much bandwidth on my end. Yeah, sorry. I'm going to be wrapping this up anyways, so this may not be important, but this is a rant I should save for another time. But anyways, these tools are out there. There are very cool things happening on both sides of the world. And so what Brian and I talked about a little bit yesterday and what we want to talk about on Friday is just is learning from each other, right? And sharing this knowledge. And for the digital marketing folks that are building courses and the training, learning, and development community that's building courses, what do we learn from each other, right? What is it that they do that they're gaining a lot of value from that we may not see as, perfect and exact instructional design, but there's value. Businesses are buying it. So we need to try to figure out how to bridge this gap between our two industries that for all intents and purposes are doing the same things, and figure out, what is it that we can learn from each other and how can we benefit from the existence of both. And so anyways, personally, I'm really looking forward to that conversation. Been wanting to have this conversation for a long time. So if you want to carve out some time and engage with us on Friday to have that conversation, know that it will be a good one for sure. So anyways, for myself, for Luis, for everybody, all of you here at TLDChat, thanks so much for hanging out with me and talking micro-learning with Shannon. Thanks again to Shannon for hanging out with us today. And I hope you all have a great day. If you have questions, if you want to continue this conversation, use the TLDChat hashtag on Twitter and, shoot me some questions or shoot the community some questions and we can continue talking about this. Or we can just wait until tomorrow and even do some follow-up. But you guys are great. The chat was fantastic. I read as much as I could as we were chatting. I'll have to go back through it, but fantastic as always. Thanks everybody for hanging out and supporting us. Everybody have a great day, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Adios, everybody.